Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how I almost gave birth at home. So for those who don't know, I am a young mum. I became a mum at the age of 19. I am quite blessed, so that's all that matters. It all started on the 29th of November in 2020. Keep in mind this was during COVID and we were in some restrictions. So it started on the night of the 29th and I can't remember, I think it started like 9 p.m. and my ex-partner had work the next morning, so he went to bed and I decided to, just watch my shows and whatever I was doing. And then all of a sudden these little contractions started and I was like, oh no, like what a time for them to start, and then I can't sleep. But these just felt like very odd, like they were very on and off. And that's why I thought maybe I'm having Braxton Hicks, which are false contractions. I didn't think much of it. I thought maybe they'd be false because they were so far apart. Normally when you're in active labor, they're about 5 minutes apart from each other. So I didn't think much of it and I decided to go and get some sleep. However, every time I laid down in the bed, they were getting worse. And then they got to a point where they were like unbearable. Obviously, I could not sleep at all. I just kept bouncing on the yoga ball, which is like the birthing ball that they use for your contractions and when you're in active labor. So every time I try to go to sleep, it just wouldn't work. I'd be either on the floor crying in pain or I was bouncing on the ball because that was easing the pain. I started to time them because I thought this is really odd and it's been going on for quite some time. However, they were just so on and off. It was so confusing for me. And I remember writing them down in my notes. I wish I had my old phone so I could show you, but I remember writing down the times and how far apart they were. However, they weren't 5 minutes apart. They were literally like 15 minutes, 20 minutes apart, but they were so painful. So I remember 4 a.m. came around and I was out watching one of those like baking shows. I was obsessed with those Netflix baking shows. And I remember I was watching that and I thought to myself, I need to do something. Like I need to get some sort of advice or something. So I called like the overnight nurse thing on call. So I called that line. And pretty much I was explaining to her what was happening. I explained to the nurse how my contractions were very painful. She asked me if I had timed them and I said yes. She proceeded to ask me how far apart they were. And I told her, like 15, 20 minutes. And she explained to me how when you're in active labor, usually the contractions are about like 1 to 5 minutes apart, which I already knew, but I appreciated the explanation. So pretty much she told me to stay home and to see how I go. I don't know if this had to do with the restrictions at the time during COVID. I have no idea. I just thought, okay, she's told me to stay home. I did explain I'm very, I'm in pain. So I thought maybe she'd tell me to come in, have a look. However, she told me to stay home. And another thing she told me as well was to wait until my waters break, which I thought was very odd. I don't know if I was so tired and I may have misinterpreted what she said, but I thought, okay, I will stay home and I'll wait until my waters break. I don't know, I may have misinterpreted what she said. So my ex-partner got up for work. I pretty much explained to him what was going on and he went to work, which I was fine with because, as I said, the nurse told me to stay home. So he went to work and I'm pretty sure he did tell me to keep him updated just in case, which, I did. So over the next 19 hours, I was experiencing very strong, painful contractions. My waters did not break. And so this was really confusing. The contractions were still on and off at this point. Kept questioning, I'm like, am I really in active labor or am I just experiencing something completely different? So my ex-partner returned home from work and I told him that they were still there and they were still very painful. So that's when he said, all right, let's go to the hospital because, you're still experiencing them and it can't keep going on for this long, which is fair enough. I was like, yeah, they shouldn't. So we were on our way to the hospital, and I remember we found a spot, and it was like in one of the side streets, so we had to walk to the entrance of the hospital. I remember crying, and I was in so much pain. I couldn't even make it to the entrance. I remember having to sit down because I just could not walk. I was struggling. It was a very painful time. Now, this is where it gets confusing. We arrived to the ward and we've explained that, you know, we need to check things, and I explained what was going on for the last like 24 hours. They took me into a room, and I remember, I'm pretty sure it was a nurse or someone came in and she asked me what was going on. I explained to her what was going on. And once we were done talking, she asked me, during the discussion we just had, have you had any pain or contractions? And I remember thinking, no, I haven't. And I remember her saying to me, it seems you're not in active labor, you can go home. And I remember asking, can you please just check to see if I've dilated at all? So she did. I don't know if she was happy about it, but she did. She checked me, and I will never forget her saying, you are 8 centimeters dilated. It looks like you're giving birth tonight. Holy moly! I was thinking to myself, this lady was going to send me home 8 centimeters dilated. If I hadn't have asked that question, I would have gone home and most likely given birth in my own home. I just thought to myself, I knew it. This instinct, I knew, I had an instinct that something was happening. And yes, I was in active labor. However, I had a nurse tell me at 4 a.m. not to come in. And I had another nurse tell me to go home because she felt like I wasn't in active labor because I hadn't had any contractions while I've been at the hospital. So pretty much I had an unmedicated labor and an unmedicated birth. That's why you should always ask questions and follow your gut. So I gave birth in the hospital literally like an hour or so later, and I gave birth to a beautiful girl. Close to 12. Although I did want a water birth, due to COVID, we couldn't have a water birth, which was really unfortunate. However, things happen for a reason. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know if you want any other story time on anything, or if you have any questions at all. I'm happy to answer them. However, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!